Greetings, loves, greetings. Thank you all for joining us today. And I want you all to share this video, all right? Like this video and give us a second while we share it ourselves and get Grinch on in here. All right. All right, y'all. So we are still waiting, and that's okay. We're running a little bit behind today. So again, I want to thank you all for joining in, and I am still sharing out this video. But as I told you all before, we are here to talk about the Ratchet's Road. Oh my goodness. What a book. What a book. As I told you all, I was reading this earlier. I'm going to try not to give too much of it away. I would like for him to talk about it himself, actually. And he will be joining us to do so. Um, and Michael came in under the comment section under that video and dropped some whoa, some bangers. Because I said that when I was reading the book, I discovered that Maya Angelou, aka Marguerite Johnson, her government name, was married to a white guy. Yeah, that's like one of the first things that hit you in this book. And I'm like, and I love me some Maya Angelou. Like, I used to call her mama. Okay. So, of course, I didn't get into her personal life. I mean, I just don't do that with people. It was about her work, her writings, her poems. And yeah, she did some dancing and stuff like that. So I didn't know these things about her. So that was like, didn't really expect it because you know how she was portrayed to us and depicted. So that was interesting. And I can understand why that was mentioned. I can understand why that was mentioned in this book. So Michael came and said she was actually married to two white men. Isn't that something? Well, I did not know that. And that her son and her daughter was mixed. So, okay, interesting information. And he even named them Paul DeFew and Toshiba Angelos. Okay. Okay. So that's where she got her name Angelo from. Okay. He hit me with another banger too. Yeah. Uh, let's see. You mentioned that Whoopi Goldberg was married to two white men. Yeah, I think everybody knew that about Whoopi. I think I found out this about Whoopi when she was with. Hey, Grinch.
Hey, what's
Welcome,
going on?
welcome. Ah, good to have you here. Good to have you here. I was just talking about starting off on the book and finding out that Maya Angelou is married to a white guy. Like, you just hit it like that, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know this.
it was sarcasm. That quote. I mean, the quote wasn't sarcasm, but how I used it was the sarcasm. It was
Uh-huh.
that she said that she, you know what I'm saying? We have forgotten our ancestors and all that, and then you know what I'm saying, and then look at what she did. So I mean, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
hate on her, but I'm just saying, like, come on, like if we gonna talk about forgetting our roots, nigga, then fuck you mean. You dig what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was saying. I immediately got it. Like I could understand why it was mentioned with the context of the book and the way it was mentioned. And I was saying that when I spoke about this earlier in my video, someone came and commented and said that she actually was married to two white men.
God damn.
So yeah. And Angela Davis is with a white woman. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Mm.
But see, that's
Yeah,
what I'm
that's what he
saying.
said.
See this shit run deep.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't know that at all. So like, whoa, yeah. But yeah, man, this book. Okay, so the Ratchet's Rogue. Okay, and so I didn't even
Rouge.
notice
It's
before that
Rouge.
art.
It's Rouge
Oh,
like red,
Rouge,
like the color red.
Rouge.
It means it's a play on words like embarrassment and then the color red, the color of whoredom. You know what I mean? The color of gang.
Okay,
But that's a whole nother story. But go ahead.
Okay, no, good. That's really good that you corrected me on that because I didn't even know that. When you say rouge, I'm thinking of like, because don't they use that to talk about makeup, some kind of makeup?
Yeah, but that's the play on words. I'm talking about the Ratchet's makeup, right? What she uses to cover up who she really is really her embarrassment at the same time. Because rouge means to redden, so that's blush, right?
Oh,
It's embarrassment. It's a play on words.
okay. That's pretty deep. Yeah, I learned a couple of definitions so far um, from reading this book. A couple of words you used that I didn't even know they existed
Yeah.
for real. I mean, I read a lot. It was, well, succubus. Is that how you say it?
Oh yeah, succubus.
Yes, succubus. I've heard of it before, but I don't think I've ever used it, so I didn't know the definition of it. And luckily, I'm on my Kindle. And gynocracy, I've heard y'all say that so many times, but I never knew what y'all was talking about. But I know now.
Yeah. Well, women reign supreme.
Yeah. When I look it up in the Kindle, it says matriarchy, a social system in which females, most notably in mammals, hold the primary power positions in roles of political leadership, moral authority, social privilege, and control of property at the specific exclusion of males, at least to a large degree. Mm,
Right. Exactly.
wow,
Exactly.
that's deep.
Did
That's
you
deep.
fuck
So
with it?
now, huh?
Did you like it?
Yeah, I'm not finished. I didn't start on it till late, and so I had to break so we can talk. But I wasn't sure if I wanted to read the whole thing because I was like, this is God stuff. And I ain't gonna lie, I still don't know what red pill is, but I know that's guy stuff, right?
Well, I mean,
And so,
it is, but you can understand it. Trust me. I got a chapter in there just for y'all too, just for the sisters.
okay, okay. And that's what I was saying, because, like, I have a lot of books, over 7,000. I'm proud of that. But of course, I haven't read them all. I'm trying to. So I like to read. So when I came in and saw you on BGS talking and heard that you wrote a book, I was like, that had me. I was so excited. I was like, yes, we got to talk about this book. And when I heard you talking about it, I was like, okay, this is something that you talk about a lot. But I just thought maybe it was going to be kind of a roast book. So I was like, yeah, this isn't really for me. But as I was listening to you guys, I was like, okay, I'm going to check it out and I'm going to give it a try. And as I started reading it, I was like, okay, yeah, it's gonna be something in here for me to learn. So
It's not. Look, I'm not all
yeah.
about roasting. I do that. That's what people know me for, because I'm good at it. But
Mhm.
I'm also good at writing. Like when you read some of these chapters, it's informational, it's poetic, it's everything, man. You just got to give it a chance.
Mhm. It is. It's good, and that's the kind of books that I like because I'm nerdy. So most of my books are, you know, um, along the self help and informational and curriculum type books, stuff like that. I don't really get into like novels or the hood books and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So this definitely, I didn't even, I was at the pool reading it, and I was like, oh man, I gotta go do this interview. If the interview wasn't about the book, I would have postponed because I didn't want to get out of it. So it was getting good. It was getting deep, because we're reading Miseducation of the Negro
Oh yeah, yeah.
every Wednesday. Yeah. So I could see how this could be, I don't want to say exactly in that category, but similar,
Yeah.
if you
Fact.
will.
Yeah. No. It definitely is. Um. Yeah. It's. I ain't gonna lie. It's a unique piece of work. Like there's been a bunch of people who've kind of. That's one of the books that came up. They'd be like, "Oh, it reminds me of that." It's been other books that have been mentioned where it reminds them of a certain books or certain chapters out of certain books. So look,
Mm.
it's pretty fucking decent, to be honest. And it's informative. It's not coming from a place of like I hate women or none of that goofy shit. It's coming from a place of love,
Right.
which is why there's humor in it. There's poetic shit in it. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, and that's why I said I can place it. I can really place it alongside that book. And being that I haven't read a whole lot of it, I really can't get that deep. But I can tell from as much as I've read already that it does. It pretty much informs you because I've been informed already off the little bit. Even just reading about Jezebel, because I mean, I grew up in church. I went to Christian schools and stuff like that. And I don't even remember knowing this much about the Jezebel story, or I like the interpretations that you have in here about it because you just kind of gave a different insight into it.
Mm-hmm. No,
And
that's
then you also showed me that Jezebels can be guys too.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's the thing about the book. It's not we all grow up in the same community, and that was what I was trying to describe and analyze was the conditions that created the character of the Ratchet or the modern day Jezebel, and then to see that I use the religious context because I know a lot of black folks are religious, but it was basically, what I'm saying, I drew from that because not only did it have a religious context, but it had uh you basically have how would I put it, on the plantation you had black women being referred to in the South as Jezebels, in the all along the Bible Belt were referred to as Jezebels, and I'm trying to I use that reference from a social reference from the plantation and also the biblical reference to kind of draw up the picture for the people who read it to better understand where I'm coming from.
Hmm. And I'm looking at your chapters. I'm looking at the names of the chapters, so it's kind of telling me where you're going to go. So
Hmm.
I think you're going to answer some of the questions that I have about where this book is actually going to lead me to.
Right.
Um, but I'm still kind of going to ask you this anyway.
Hmm.
Um, do you kind of, because I do see a lot of similarity, again, to the miseducation of the Negro. Do you kind of show like where some of this came from? Because you had an interesting title in one of them. It was what was it? My mama.
The
What
be
was it in the
the
beginning?
Yeah, the first half of the book is called Mother Was a Monster. And then the second half of the book
Yeah.
is called The Zoo. Yeah, so Mother Was a Monster. I mean, right after I put that title in there, is I insert, that Maya Angelou quote that we talked about. And basically, I'm just trying
Hmm.
to, I'm not gonna lie, that was a little bit of shock value, but at the same time, it's a lot of truth in that statement. A lot of people grow up uh, being taught by women who have adopted the white supremacist ideology as truth, and so they instill that in their children, and so we see these children grow up to be adults and play out, and play out their own demise because of that inferiority complex that's been instilled in them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, thank you. That's what I was wanting to know. Is it? Are you talking about like where is this coming from? Because I can clearly see that you're breaking down, and you even say so, what a Jezebel is, and the different kinds of Jezebel, and you start to go into detail. But it would be real nice to know, like, how did this get started? Like, where did this come from?
Yeah, well,
You know?
it's a biblical reference. That's where it originally comes from. The term Jezebel is used to describe a female ruler, right? And when you hear Christians talk about the Jezebel spirit, they're talking about a domineering woman. They're talking about
Hmm.
Jezebel has been associated with everything from domineering to whoredom to mischievous to disrespectful. Like the list goes on and on. And I go into detail in the book, but the whole point of it was, you know, the reason why I use that word Jezebel is because I know a large percentage of our, you know, ADOS brothers and sisters do subscribe to Christianity, but I also use it in a social context where you have white women on the plantation who are in the big house describing the female slaves as Jezebels. That was a slang used commonly in the South to describe black females. And it was because of the relationships and the families that were created through, you know, through the relations of the plantation owner, the plantation master, and the you know, the Negro Bedouins.
Yeah, I remember reading that part too. So this is something that's been going on a long time.
Right, yeah, it's been going on ever since forever.
It's just not being addressed enough.
Right. Basically, it's what nobody wants to talk about, which is why I've gotten a lot of praise for this book, but at the same time, I've gotten a lot of hate mail.
I heard you saying that you and BGS had a really, really good conversation, and I could tell that he read the entire book, which I have not. But he can also relate too because he's a guy. But I saw the reviews, and I can tell that you got a lot of support for this book. And one thing that I was talking about, because I was talking with the audience last night after we got through doing our reading. I went over to Amazon and we were looking at the book and stuff. And I was just telling them how proud of you I was because, I mean, you know, you came out, brother, your book, you selling that book for some coins, okay? You know, and this is from somebody who, like, again, I have a lot of books, man. So I know how to, and I'm writing some myself. You know, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about that until it's done, but I don't have a problem doing that. But I'm just saying that to say I know how that usually goes, and I know how they usually priced and things like that, and you're doing it. Like,
oh yeah.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
You're doing
it. I mean, it's quality. It's quality.
Pennies. It's not going for pennies. I mean, on Kindle it's $10.
Yeah.
And a lot of books may or may not even be that on paperback or hard copy, especially being, is this your first book?
Yeah, this is my first book.
Exactly. Yeah, you smashing. You smashing. And your first, and your is it paperback? I think it's 20.
Yeah,
so
that's paperback and Kindle.
Yeah, I mean, because you can price it at what you want to, but to have the support at that price is awesome.
Yeah, it really has been a overwhelmingly great response, and like the reviews that I've got and the emails, and it has been, you know, I have people telling me, you know, they want to finance me for the next book. So hey, I got nothing but love for everybody who supported my book, including you. You know what I'm saying?
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I was just proud of the fact that you actually put a book out, because as a fan of books, you know, especially a certain type of book, I know that it's not necessarily easy to discipline yourself to actually complete a book, or even to have the desire. Everybody doesn't have the desire to write a book. And then another thing that I noticed is, like I said, the support from everybody, which was great. And that's one thing about creating a commadre, you know. But then you had Art doing your artwork, which is great. And you had Kendra edit it. So, you know, I was all Terry, like, oh, look at them. You know, this is so cool. I mean, it is. It's amazing. And you're selling this. I mean, because a lot of books that I get on Kindle, sometimes I get them for free. I ain't gonna lie. Okay. And
but
because
we still get paid. We still get paid when you get it for free though. Like, so it's for free. Yeah, we still get paid though.
It's promotion, you know what I mean? But sometimes they go 99 cents, or they go $3.99 or something like that. I mean, you're selling yours at $10 on Kindle, brother. That's wonderful. I just want people to understand that if you're not, an avid book reader or Kindle reader. And, for me, I have books that I'll pay 20, 30, 50, 100 or whatever, but these are, oh man, these are historical books. These are by,
Yeah.
authors that are probably not even here anymore. I mean, these are thick, thick books. Like, they got to be some great or a collection. And for you to be able to sell your book at that price, I mean, it's just, I'm really proud of you. And you're very young, right? Because you're in your 20s.
Yeah, right. I'm 29.
Yeah.
I just turned 29.
Yeah, this is really good. It's really good. And, I listened to you. I've been listening to you since before, when you were the
Yeah.
mean old Grinch. So I already knew that, you were intelligent and there was a lot more to you than just coming at the strags. But for my audience who just didn't know, let's start out with how you came about on YouTube and got to doing your own channel and stuff like that.
Okay, I'll give you the short version. How I got on YouTube was I was running around in the streets for a little bit after I got out of the military doing my thing. I ended up taking a job opportunity in Hawaii, and so I lived on the island for 3 years. And right when I got there, it's pretty much right when I found this sector of YouTube, because I was never on YouTube before, but being separated from the world will make you look for shit to entertain you. So I found Black YouTube, and ever since then, I've been rocking with Angry Men and Black Order. You already know what it is. So that's really the story. And then I stayed in the shadows for a long ass time. I mean, everybody knew me just because you know what I'm saying. I'm me. Who doesn't know the Grinch? Everybody knows me. I make funny ass jokes and shit like that. But then I ended up making a channel just recently. You know what I mean? And I did it low key, like, because I was like, okay, I'm going to write a book. I might as well make a channel too. Fuck it, because everybody know me, and I might as well go ahead and do it. So I did that, and so now we here. A few months later, after I wrote the book, the book's published, and things are on the up and up. You feel me?
That's wonderful. So you said you met Angry Man, and is that how you became Red Pill? Because the book is like a Red Pill type concept, right?
Yeah. But no, I was red pill. Like, the thing is with these labels and all this, I was red pill before I even knew what red pill was, which is why I kind of gravitated towards this sector, is because I didn't know, I was just living life. And so when people told me, oh, I didn't even know it was a big deal. Like, until I came on YouTube and I seen all this red pill ideology. I seen Sandman, seen Angry Man, Black Ram, uh, Thinking Man's Templar. These are the ones that I originally, came into contact with, and then from there, you know, I figured like, oh shit, they talking about how I live every day. I could fuck with this, so that's what happened.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what made you start becoming the character of the Grinch, like, doing the strag roastings and stuff like that?
Well, the strag roasting, I don't know. That shit just came about. But the thing is, how I got the nickname, I actually got the nickname from my nephew, and my brother kind of like made it solid. So now I'm permanently the Grinch, right? Because I come from nothing, right? So I used to do a lot of wild shit when I was younger, and so my nephew could never pronounce my name, right? So he used to be like Uncle Grinch because it rhymed with my name, and so. My brother was like, one day he was like, I was in Cali. We was all on the beach, me, my nephew, my brother. And he was like, you know what? That shit actually makes sense. He was like, because, you used to steal niggas Christmas and shit. And now, your heart done grew 3 times larger, because he was talking about how I was active in the community, helping out, volunteering, tutoring, doing shit like that. So it kind of went along with the Grinch story. You know what I mean? So the name kind of stuck. So, that's why I'm the Grinch. You feel me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the red pill and the strag, can you kind of give us like just a short little understanding of what those two things are?
Okay, well, the red pill, from my understanding, is the understanding of human nature. So it's, you'll have all the usual talking points that people talk about, like hypergamy and what else they talk about? Hypergamy, SMV, all that shit. Yeah, that's red pill. But really, at its core, it's the understanding of female nature, but not just the understanding of female nature, the understanding of your own nature. And so when you understand who people are, you're able to move in the world better and get better results with the moves you make. And that's really essentially red pill is just being rooted in reality, because the whole reference comes from the Matrix movie, where Morpheus gave Neo the choice between the blue pill and the red pill. If he took the blue pill, he would go right back to his Disneyland, fairy tale life where everything was mundane. Or he said, take the red pill and see how far the rabbit hole goes. So when he took the red pill,
Mhm.
he got introduced to the truth, and that's what red pill is about. Ultimately, it's about the truth. And strag,
Oh,
yeah, strag is it's a term for a ratchet who is irredeemable. So basically, a ratchet who has doubled down in her dysfunction, and there's no coming back, because there's certain things that you just can't take back in life. You can't rewind the clock, and they're so invested in their narrative that they have chosen to remain in the illusion rather than wake up and do what is uh, most beneficial to them, right? Because it's more comfortable. The truth will always make you uncomfortable.
so a strag is actually worse than being a ratchet.
Yeah, strag is a lot worse than being. Look, girl, look, we have, all of us have ratchet tendencies, right? Because we come up under the black gynocracy, which instills these in us. So even the most, even the girl who isn't out here just, being reckless with her body, being reckless with her mouth, even those girls have a little bit. The ones that come from our community have a little bit of that ratchetivity attached to them, simply because they are indoctrinated through the black gynocracy. And the black gynocracy is made up of a whole bunch of strags, right? Basically the mothers of the community, which are teaching this white supremacy ideology that perpetuates this inferiority complex, that we see it displayed and exhibited in the actions of everyday brothers and sisters all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So basically, you know what I'm saying? The strag is like, I would say the strag is on some, the strag is irredeemable. So yeah, the ratchet can always, it's a choice to be a ratchet, and you have to make that
Mm,
choice yourself to be better than that.
I understand. I completely understand. And so basically a ratchet tendencies and ratchet ways, and we're basically talking about the female, um, has been passed down to the mother, you know, from, I guess, slavery, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
passed down to generations below.
Right. And I mean, it goes back. I go in the book. I go even further back than that. I go all the way back to the coast of Africa, to the Gold Coast. But I mean, that's debatable though, which is why, like I talk about, when I talk about the Gold Coast, I'm talking about like the origins of colorism. But when I talk about plantation politics, yeah, like that's what you're talking about right now. So yeah, it stems from those same attitudes, those same trained behaviors, those same circumstances, legislation, that has been documented in the Library of Congress. You know, I've pulled from a lot of sources, memoirs from Dutch merchants. I pulled from a lot of sources to give an accurate depiction of the things that they won't teach you in school, and the things that aren't passed down. Uh, you know, so basically, the book is just trying to give everyday, brothers and sisters an understanding of the circumstances and what created those circumstances.
Right. And even the gynocracy type of living or mindset. that basically was forced upon us, right? Wouldn't you say that?
I mean, yeah, it was. Initially, yes, it was. Initially, it was forced upon us, but over time, it's become the norm. And the thing is, the whole goal of the gynocracy, or the black gynocracy, is to maintain the status quo. So what has
Mm-hmm.
the status quo always been for black people in this country? It's always been inferior, lesser than, lower social class, lower social standing. And that is the goal of the gynocracy. And in exchange for perpetuating that same system, they get the benefits of the white supremacy power structure, which is being able to tap into the institutions like the police department, uh, getting lighter sentences on average in the judicial system, uh, being able to have a basically a safety net for any errors that they make. Any it's basically it dampens the blow for the consequences of the members of the black gynocracy. You know what I mean? And so this is why we see the system perpetuated, because the dysfunction is subsidized.
Right. Yeah, I think it's definitely up to us to purposely change things that we recognize that are out of place and dysfunctional, but we have to first recognize the dysfunction. And so being open to listening to things that may seem insulting, if you will, like this, um, then we can learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because like myself, I didn't grow up in a matriarchal household at all, right?
yeah, right.
But I also didn't have, um, I would say, not enough of the proper influence from my mother's behalf. So I think that if as I continue to read, I'm probably going to start to see things or hear things that may be a little bit familiar. I haven't yet, but I'm pretty sure I eventually will. Because like
Oh,
you
you
said,
you
all of us,
will,
right.
you will for sure.
So
'Cause
it takes both male and female to be willing to correct things that we recognize as being dysfunctional.
right, exactly. We are a group. Humanity is made up of what makes up humanity is both the male and the female part. That is what
Mhm.
humanity is, and for any tribe, those go hand in hand. The problem that we have is that the black anocracy is so in cahoots with another man from another tribe that it has, uh, had a catastrophic effect on the black boys who are coming up in this system. That's really that's really the drawback, or the biggest tax that is that the matriarchy, or really the gynocracy, imposes on the community. It's because you take your best and brightest and you destroy them, and you destroy them systematically because you're in cahoots with a man from a whole nother tribe who does not have your best interests at heart. While at the same time, the members of the black gynocracy envy Miss Ann, or Miss Daisy, or whoever you want to call her, the white woman in the big house. They envy her because she reaps the benefits of all of this, you know. And black women have constantly, regardless of the systems that are in place to prevent consequence, or to lighten the consequences for their fuck ups and all that shit, regardless of the agreement that's in place, they still suffer the most. It's not even a fair agreement between white men and black women. It's basically you get the scraps all off the table. This is why you hear a lot of brothers in the manosphere talk about butter biscuits. Because look, a butter
Mhm.
biscuit might be good, but that shit ain't a whole meal. That's why it's a butter biscuit.
Right. It's not even proper nutrition either, which is essentially the same thing that you said. But your titles just show that this book is going deep. Each chapter
Mm-hmm.
is going deep. Feeding the Beast, Ratchet Tactics, captivating the creature to the sisterhood. Okay, so that's the chapter that you say is for us, right?
Right.
Okay. The Ratchet Commandments, leaving the
Yeah.
plantation, the brotherhood, plantation politics and absolution. Then you have the zoo. So that's the second half of the book.
Right. That's the second half of the book where I go into the specific types of ratchets, the most common types of ratchets that you will encounter.
Oh, the married ratchet. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. That yeah, they exist. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
They
exist.
exist. Mm-hmm.
For real.
Shaking your butt on Instagram all naked and you married. Okay. Anyway, the baby mama, the
Yeah.
spiritual ratchet, the
Yep.
simp, the
Yep.
basic bitch,
Mm-hmm.
the educated ratchet, and the revolutionary ratchet, the hood ratchet, the prostitute, and the strike. And she had to be number 10, right?
Yeah, yeah, she had, because she on 10 all the time, man, because she's doubled down on her dysfunction.
Okay, I like this dedication too, dedicated to the fathers, brothers, and sons from the past, present, and times yet still to come.
Yep. Because we're
So
the
this,
ones. Huh? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well,
Oh, no.
I dedicate it to the brothers because, we don't have any literature out here for us. Like especially when it comes to red pill knowledge and really understanding what's going on. We've had the niggas ain't shit narrative go on for since forever. And, it's about time that we counter that. So the whole purpose of the book is to obliterate the niggas ain't shit narrative, because when you start looking at the history and what actually happened, this is what you end up getting is a full view picture of what has created these circumstances exactly. And there's no really any question about it, because it's coming from the Dutch merchants who married African natives, which was called Khazars on the Gold Coast, which is now present day Ghana. It comes from that. It comes from the legislation out of the Library of Congress. It comes from the plantation politics that are seen in the everyday black household today. This is what we're dealing with, and so the reason why it's dedicated to the brothers, even though like on the back of the book, I know it's not on there, probably not for your version, but on the back of the book now it says it's dedicated to the supporters of thinking black, or it's dedicated to thinking black men and our supporters. And that's because we are a community, and it's not just a gender thing. It's not about male or female. It's about understanding the circumstances, or understanding the conditions that created the circumstances that we deal with today.
Right. And with all that being said, I have to say I can appreciate you writing this book, especially after, having a better understanding of why the book is being written and the context of the book, because it is helping educate us. And of course, people have to actually seek the education and seek to understand it. But um, these are the type of things that we need in order to improve ourselves and to improve our relationships. Because, like you said, when we have these narratives that we spew against each other, that doesn't help, because we all know that it came from somewhere. And so we have to start to understand, okay, what it is, where it came from, and what can we do to change it. I mean, that's about all we can do, instead of just saying, guys ain't this and women ain't that. I mean, because there's all to contrary about, what has happened to the black man, what has been done to him, and, why he is the way he is. We just talked about Dr. Kunjufu the other day, and he does tons of books, to try and help and understand and better raise, black boys, to try and help avoid, a lot of damages that
Right.
could be done to them. And I think that's very important for females, males too, of course, but, guys are black men. So they already know a lot of stuff that a lot of us females probably just don't know because we're not a guy. And if we're not as involved as we probably should be, we'll miss a lot of stuff. But we have to know from within what has been done and from the past. And I always tell people, you have to do a lot of research and reading, because you have to know from where all this stuff started. Just going out and saying, oh, these guys did da da da, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to help. That makes no sense. There's all kind of reasons as to why things are the way that they are. And a lot of it has to do with yourself, whether you believe it or not. It has to do with, the things that you do and the things that you don't do that
Your
affects
behavior.
them. Yeah. And eventually has them reacting in ways that they react. So
Right.
it is what it is.
But we have to understand where these be. The thing is, all of this, a lot of the things that black men complain about and black women complain about are behaviors. But we have to understand the context in which they have been conditioned to expect certain behaviors out of one another. When you look at black men have always held the low look. Black men are the biggest threat to white supremacy, which is why J. Edgar Hoover came out and said the Black Panthers were the number one threat to national security. You feel me? Like
Mhm.
black men have always been the number one threat as seen by the dominant society against the system that's in place that governs. So when we look at the behaviors and they've always been regulated as such. So, but when you look at the behaviors of our women, these behaviors, the reason why a lot of our women behave in the manner that they do is because this is a passed down thing. There is a low key contempt for black men within the community, and it's simply because I don't want to spoil the book, so I won't go
Mhm.
all the way into it. But the thing is, there has been legislation put in place to where you know the dynamic has always been a domineering black woman. The privileges have always been given to black women by far.
Mhm.
And the thing is, when you start analyzing history and looking at it for what it really is, the history, anybody could say anything. Everybody can have an opinion, but events, you can't refute that. Actual historical events, actual legislation that
Mhm.
ruled this land, you know what I'm saying? You can't refute that. It's in the Library of Congress and it's documented. And so when you start seeing the dynamic between the rights that black men had and the privileges that black women had, specifically the Negro bedwench and whatnot, you start seeing this dynamic of ownership, which is why we can go on World Star Hip Hop right now and see some reckless shit. The thing is, we have been conditioned over time to despise each other and to treat each other lesser than. And when you read this book, it's understood. So a lot of the things that black men are complaining about are valid but the thing is, the hardest thing to do is convince somebody to go against their core belief system. You know, that's the hardest thing to do, is to get somebody to analyze their core beliefs, the things that they grew up on. But the only way we're going to be able to break the cycle and emancipate ourselves and mentally is to look at history critically. You dig what I'm saying?
Right. Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Um, Also, not to ruin anything about the book. I mean, you gave me a deeper understanding of even what a Jezebel was. I know I said this already, but Jezebel, anytime I heard that word, it always just, to me, signified someone who was just, kind of a sluttish type, whorish type person. And so this takes it deeper and shows many different levels,
Yeah, like,
you know.
and that's the thing. Not every woman has every single one of these characteristics. Not every woman in the black community has every single one of these characteristics. Not every single man in the black community has every single one of these characteristics. But because of the culture that we come up in, we inherently develop at least a couple of them. And we can see this played out not only on social media, but on television and everyday interactions. We can see this played out in so many ways, and it affects our relationships and our bonds. It weakens our bonds. You know what I'm saying? To the point where if you don't read this book, or if you don't analyze where these attitudes come from. You will consistently have failed relationships. And when you look at the Black community, what do you see? You see a crazy percentage of out of wedlock births. You see a crazy percentage of divorce. And I know the social contract is broken in America point blank with the rise of feminism. But who spear tips feminism? You know what I'm saying? Who spear tips that? Like we gotta start asking these questions. And being a thinking Black man, these are the questions that we ask, and these are the questions that I have did the research and answer in this book.
Right. Yeah, there was the part in here that I saw about talking about the characteristics of a Jezebel in number 11, one upmanship. A part of it says, if you are with such a person and you tell of your accomplishment of victory, you can be assured she will quickly tell of something she has accomplished. And that immediately made me think of something that occurred on social media, which is similar to this. Like, if you're going through something, they don't want you to have that. They will. Okay, we were on a live stream, and I said my son just got shot in the face, and this person said, well, oh, a few months ago my daughter was shot in the leg. Okay,
Yeah,
now you can see how this just happened, and it's really serious, but this person wants to ignore that and overshadow it. Hey, a while ago, you know.
Yeah, that's nigga
So
shit though. That's nigga shit for you. But it comes from that. It comes from. I'm not a religious person, right? Like that, but it is perfectly described. Because I don't have all the answers. I'm coming at this from a social perspective, but that is what is described as the Jezebel spirit.
right.
Condolences. For your kid. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you're in my city, right? You're in Atlanta, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what side you on? You in South Side or you East Side or North Side?
South side. South
Okay,
side.
yeah, that's where I'm from. I'm from Riverdale Road and Garden Walk Grove.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. I grew up in a group home over there. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
wow.
Yeah, I went.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
was about
remember
to
you
tell you.
talking about it. I listened to a lot of your videos, so I'm quite familiar with your story.
Yeah, so you already know what it is. Yeah, I live on the coast. We're gonna talk after we go off the live, so we can talk. But
Okay.
But the thing is, yeah, I get what you're saying, and I understand those circumstances because I'm a nigga who survived that shit. You know what I mean? So I know it ain't no play. I know it's not nothing to laugh at or nothing to try to, you feel me, to downplay. But when you hear people say shit like that, like that's that same spirit. It's like I always, that's just niggas playing the struggle Olympics, and you can tie that right back into the Jezebel spirit I depict in the book. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Somebody you going through some shit right now, but somebody the only thing a motherfucker could tell you is some shit that they, some less serious shit that they did. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the
That's
struggle
already
Olympics.
over. It's been taken care of, and it's fine now. But they want to steal the attention. And I think you was listening on that live stream. You know what I'm talking about. And they kept going on and on about their situation at the time to gain the audience's sympathy. And so I was able to go there uh, in my mind while reading the book to get a deeper understanding of what you were talking about when you said one upmanship. And you
Right.
gave this example of a person that if you tell an accomplishment or a victory, then they'll tell you of an accomplishment or a victory. But I was also able to relate it to other situations that, are similar that still means it's basically the same thing, or they will try to, even if you're going through something, they don't understand how to um, just let you get it out or be
Right.
sympathetic or anything. They have to
Right. It's a lack of
still,
empathy.
it's still one upmanship,
Yeah,
in
it is.
the
It's a
way
lack of
they sound.
empathy. It's a lack
Yeah.
of empathy in the Black community, and that's what you see oftentimes, like not only between sisters lacking empathy for brothers while comparing them to other groups of men, while at the same time not supporting them, but also within the sisterhood. You see sisters down in other sisters or shitting on other sisters, you know, or trying to one up them or make them look a certain type of way. But this is where all this shit comes from, because at the end of the day, when you really look at the Black community, there is no sisterhood. You know, there is none. You know, and for if you're able to conjure some sisterhood amongst amongst two other sisters, or even amongst one other sister, it's priceless, because not everybody gets that, because the mentality is one-upmanship. The mentality is I'm better than you. You ain't shit, but it's all stems from you're not shit because you're Black, even though nobody wants to say that shit because they're Black themselves. But that's where this mentality stems from. Like, you haven't did this shit. You know, they'll play the struggle Olympics with you, or they'll try to tell you or try to downplay what you're doing. Like, I had a nigga talk about my book. This nigga's not published nowhere. He hasn't did nothing nowhere, and my book been selling like a motherfucker. But he comes to me in my channel and he talks this shit. It's one-upmanship. And like you said, it's not just women, it's men too.
Yeah, absolutely. And so a lot of these things, you know, correlates with other things that have been put out here and written that can help us understand, you know, what our issues are, you know, because as I'm reading this, you know, I was thinking about things that we were reading in The Miseducation of the Negro, because if you're familiar with that, which I think you are, because you quoted some stuff.
Yeah, I actually quote Carter G. Woodson in the book. What chapter is that?
I'm not exactly sure, because I heard your quote actually on you and BGS's talk.
Oh, number 2.
That's what I heard.
Chapter 2, Creating the Monster. Okay. And I'm gonna read the quote for the people, right? So, Creating the Monster, right? That's number 2, which talks about the circumstances that create the ratchet and the simp and the strag, right? So the quote goes, if you make a man feel that he is inferior, you do not have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it for himself. If you make a man think that he is justly an outcast, you do not have to order him to the back door. He will go without being told. And if there is no back door, his very nature will demand one. And that's by Carter G. out of the Miseducation of the Negro. But what it basically says is, if you can instill mindset, an ideology of or inferiority complex within a person, they will always think lesser of themselves, and they won't strive to be anything more than what they are. But yeah, you still there? So why can't I hear you? Hold on, I'm gonna rejoin. Hey, you hear me?
Okay, yeah. For some reason, Hangout crashed, but I'm glad it's back up.
All right. But yeah.
Okay, so good thing you didn't lose it. But yeah, you're right. Carter G. Woodson is talking about how this stuff, you know, came from the onset. So that's why I tell people, you know, it's good to, you know, take works like this, and, you know, the other brothers and sisters that took their time to do research and leave it documented, you know, and reference these across each other and educate yourselves, because that helps you, you know, it empowers you, you know, it empowers you to do better. It empowers you to become a better person. And then you can properly, you know, instill this in your offspring. And then we begin to create better generations. So I'm not sure why it keeps trying to crash.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? That's the gist of the book. You know, it's about enlightenment. You know, it's about instilling a sense of pride in brothers, to let them know. You know, I talk about it in the chapter of the brotherhood. Talk about how we need to understand, because a lot of times when people talk about black brothers or blackness, period, they begin with the
Mhm.
struggle. But the thing is, while we have had difficulty, we've had so many accomplishments. And, me as a combat veteran, me as a scholar, a university graduate, uh, me as a world traveler, and now me as an author, I've
Mhm.
been able to have experiences with people and uh, see brothers, other black people, brothers and sisters achieve great things. And we've kind of downplayed that by trying to define ourselves by the struggle, aka the struggle Olympics. You feel me?
Mhm.
So when
Mhm.
when I address the brothers in this book, I'm telling them, I'm trying to reinstill a sense of pride and confidence and accomplishment, because that is what we come from. You know what I mean? And too many times we try to define ourselves by the struggle. And yes, while that is a part of our history, and it's a part that we should not be ashamed of, it's a part that we should be proud to be the descendants of those who just survived that horrific treatment. You know what I'm saying? But this is really a book for people to uh, kind of gravitate to, who want to know more about the dynamics between black men and black women, what has created the stereotypical or menstrual type, what has created what things have been in place to make that a reality. And this is the future, man. Thinking black men are the future. Thinking black men and our supporters. We are the future.
I like this. I mean, I like the concept. I like this style of thinking and teaching as well. I do because I listen to some of the other brothers that may hold a different type of philosophy. I don't know exactly what they call themselves, but I'm not going to call any names. But they kind of, instead of teaching, to help, they just kind of teach to get over. Like the thing about creating the back door, they kind of use that in their favor to say, like, if you ignore her, then she'll, come run and chase you down and stuff like that. And I get it that it works and it helps, but it doesn't solve any problems at the end of the day,
Not any
stuff
cultural
like that.
problems. It doesn't solve any cultural problems. I'll say it like that.
Right.
Like on a micro level, yeah. If you stay about your business, you stay in your hustle, and you let a motherfucker work for your attention. Of course, you're gonna benefit from that as a man, and so will a woman, because you'll be dealing with at the end. You'll be dealing with a nigga who got his shit together. But as far as the cultural perspective goes, when it comes to the dynamic between black men and black women, it is one that is misunderstood even by those who are encompassed and included in the term that we call black. And so if I'm able to educate other brothers and sisters on on what actually created these assumptions, these attitudes, stereotypes, these dynamics, if I'm able to educate people on that, once you give somebody understanding, then they can no longer claim ignorance. Then you have a choice. You have a choice to keep on operating in the same way that you have been for your own benefit, you know, or you could
Hmm.
see what the possibilities hold when you shed the ideology of your oppressor, when you come to terms with the attitudes and the things that have been instilled from you from the people before you, have been given to them originally by your oppressor. When you start to understand these things, when once us as a group understand these things, it's nothing that's going to be able to stop us. Because if we had the support of our women, and our men had the respect for the women who support us, that is required. I mean, you can't. We've never been able to be stopped, even being the most ostracized group of so-called black people on this planet, being the descendants of slaves. You know what I'm saying? In this country, we have had the most influence. Hip hop has touched every corner of the world, just like how white supremacy has. So the thing is,
Right.
when we put our minds to some shit, we can make shit happen. We can create shit. We can be the masters of our own destiny. But too many people nowadays are allowing Too many people nowadays are allowing the narrative to be written for them, or adopting what they've been told. And for every Black person, male and female, a certain degree of skepticism should be, it's healthy for us. And in fact, I'll take it a step further. It's mandatory for us to be able to operate in the ways that we need to operate in order to be successful, survive.
That's right. Well said. Very well said. Thank you for that. Oh my goodness. Now I'm looking at this cover, the artwork, and it's very telling. Very telling. Now, was this your concept, and you just gave it to Art and said, "Here, this is what I want it to look like," or you just told him about what the book was about, and he just, did his thing, and you said, "Yeah, I like this."
No, I was pretty direct with him with because I'm picky, right? So I know exactly what I want, how I want it. I'm that type of nigga, right? I know exactly what I want on the joint. I know exactly how I want it layered. I know everything about it. So, but the thing is, Art had the talent, right? So I told Art, I was like, yo, this is exactly what I want. I laid it out for him for every single picture in the book, including the cover and the final picture, right? And we're not going to expose the final picture. Y'all gonna have to pick it up to see it. But the thing,
right? Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Look, the concept is dope, but what I'm saying, I told him exactly what to do, and him being a real brother like he is, being an educator, being a well-traveled brother like myself, being a thinking Black man like myself, we was able to vibe and discuss this over phone calls, over web chat, and put this shit together, to make it be something that will be memorable and impactful. So salute to Art, new style, man, the man. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. He did it. He definitely did it. I see the woman here, and she's putting on her makeup, and she got a wig on, and I see Marilyn Monroe in the mirror.
Yes, that was my look. All that is. I told him all that exactly, and he was able to recreate that. Man, he's a master. He's a master at what he does.
Now, this is a personal favor. Can you tell me about why Marilyn Monroe is up there in the corner?
Marilyn Monroe is in the corner because it is the symbolization of the myth of white womanhood, right? As if basically we have a lot of Black women, and I mean a lot of women, period, who subscribe to the white is right narrative, and so they do everything that they can to imitate that. So by her having that picture of Marilyn Monroe, even though she was a known whore, right? That is kind of what is associated with Marilyn Monroe, is whoredom, fucking JFK and all that shit. That's kind of what is associated with her. But it was the fact that they aspired to be even the lowest amongst the dominant society. That is what our women have aspired to be. So when you see her put on her rouge, right, her lipstick, which is why the only thing that was red in the picture was her lipstick and her lips, right? She's put on her lipstick, she's put on her rouge, she's put on her getup, she's got on her wig. She's looking at Marilyn Monroe because that is what she aspires to be. She just wants to have a piece of what she thinks is the myth. She wants a piece of the myth of white womanhood. And then the second half of that, which I won't tell on the air, but when you see her at the very last and at the end of the book, after the Strag chapter, you see that same woman again in front of the same station, and you see her in her natural skin, and you see how she feels it. You know what I mean? That is the point.
Deep. I'm glad I asked you that question. I didn't even know that because I haven't gotten that far. But wow, that's deep, because I can tell you personally, coming up, that this is definitely from a lack of proper education. This is from a lack of, not having people instill in you who your people really are, the value of your people, and not even knowing that, there are great women that belong to us, right, to look up to.
And then
yes. so many we can name now, you
Yeah.
know. But before, I didn't know any of them existed, okay? And not only that, but being misled, if you will, about this Marilyn Monroe person, because we didn't necessarily get told that she was a whore. I didn't know until I started to come into all this knowledge that she even was a studied whore person. You know, it's just that she was admired, she was adored, and everybody thought she was pretty, and oh, that's who everybody wanted and who every girl wanted to be. And she just was that symbol for some reason or another. And, you know, Marilyn Monroe was the girl.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
was.
but at the same time, there were other the thing is there were other black actresses who
Hmm.
had notoriety at that time, and the thing is when you start looking at it, you start to understand the inferiority complex that we have adopted as a whole as a people, you know, and it is something that has prevented us from being able to see the world for what it really is, to see events as they really happen, you know, because we're coming from ideology that blinds us to reality. We're coming from this false premise that people who are dubbed black, right? Because that's a social construct. We're coming from the premise that
Hmm.
we're not as good. Everything we do ain't as good, which is like brands like
Right.
Fubu can fail, while brands like uh, Giuseppe can thrive, and they do this off the black dollar, right? But this is
Hmm.
what I mean when I put those pictures in there. When I told Art exactly what to put for these illustrations, it's because I'm trying to depict the mindset of inferiority that most of our brothers and sisters have. And the thing is, you say like how you never knew that Marilyn Monroe was a whore. You have to look at it like this: nobody taught other brother. Nobody was teaching the youth that they were somebody. They all the role models, everybody that they looked up to were part of a society, part of a dominant class that were oppressing them. And that has forever been the conundrum, has forever been the trap that black people have been in, trying to be something that they're not, and then always feeling inferior, always feeling unsatisfied because they're trying to reach something that is not them. When you fully recognize your identity and who you are, and you're fully comfortable in your skin, you will feel empowered, and that's the point of the book. It's not the point of the book is to tell women, yo, this is what has been happening. This is why these circumstances exist. You have the choice whether you want to subscribe to it or not, but you're not going to feel your whole self unless you accept yourself. You can't love anybody, and then for the relationship, you can't love anybody unless you love yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, this is a fact. This is a fact. This is a fact. And if you're not sleeping with a version of yourself, you don't love yourself. If you're still trying to emulate, you know, someone else, you don't love yourself. So you're absolutely correct. And you know, like you said, about them, our people not being seen as good enough as such a Marilyn Monroe and stuff. You know, it's deeper than that, because you got to even know they exist. And for me, I didn't even know these women existed. It was about exposure, you know, having only been exposed to stuff like this. So, you know, I was very upset to find out that we had all these wonderful people in our history, and I could have been known about this, but yet and still I grew up adoring Playboy and Marilyn Monroe. Okay, I was
Right.
angry. So you know it, but I'm glad I know it now. So there you have it. But it's deep, you know, it's deep.
Hey,
You
can you
have to
mod me right quick? Mod me right quick.
yeah, you gotta type because I don't see you.
Yeah, I type.
Okay, I see you.
The funny thing is, anytime black people get together and we talk about progress and we talk about anything that's going to be progressive, you're always going to meet a lot of black people because you have to understand what you're dealing with. This is why it's so hard for black women as a whole to uh, recognize and realize their own potential and to realize their own worth and self value. Is because you have a lot of you have a lot of black people out here who have 100% doubled down in white supremacist ideology. So they'll do anything to make sure that they blemish your name if you're talking about pride in self, talking about pride in your people, pride in where you came from, pride that they'll do anything that they can. And, you know, we just had a guy in here like that. But look, for that guy, hey, man, look, this book is for you.
Yeah.
You don't even know. I just created something to save your life.
And I didn't even notice the comment until after you got rid of it. And I'm kind of surprised because I disagree with what that person said. I thought it was a female, but hey, we never seen that person.
It probably is, but you got to understand. See, black men are a lot less effective from the white supremacist ideology. And I'm not saying every single one, but the majority of us, because we get validation on certain levels that black women don't get validation on, we are able, it is easier for us to shift that mindset. You know, for black women who have always aspired to meet up to a beauty standard, you know, being women, being beautiful is part of, you know, the program. You know what I'm saying? It's a major part of your life. You get opportunities and everything based on that. But that is why it is more difficult for black women to shake this mindset, is because not only is everything around them defined by the white beauty standard, but also they've also benefited from the subsidizing of the dysfunction. You know, look at the relationship between the black gynocracy and the white supremacist power structure. I mean, it tells it all.
Yeah, you know, but how about this? Ebony, first of all, I do disagree with what you're saying, but maybe you just have to step back sometimes, and because I'm an open-minded person. So if I hear you say strag, or if I hear, because you know, I don't know if you remember how we first met, Grinch.
No.
Because I do. And I was reminded.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I do. I remember. But look, you got that shit because of what? Because of the company you keep, right?
I'm not sure.
Look,
I don't know, because I mean, I've rocked by myself, so maybe it was a perception.
Yeah, perception.
That could be it.
Perception. You said it right there. It was perception, and that's the thing that I encourage in the book. If you read the chapter in the sisterhood, I say, you know, I'm paraphrasing right now, but I said basically, aren't you tired of wearing the scarlet letter of your sisters who not even really your sisters, because they have an ideology that lines up with their oppressors? So aren't you tired of wearing that scarlet letter? And it's time to make a clear, definite line between those who subscribe to that ideology and those who don't. So that way we can start treating the ladies like ladies and treating the rest like the rest.
Right. And see, my thing is this. I'm very open-minded, like I said, and I'm always willing to better myself, if you will. So, and I don't mind criticism, you know, because I feel like we're all a work in progress. Until you die, you're a work in progress, you know. So when we first met and, you know, all that went down, I was having fun. It didn't bother me at all. I'm not easily bruised at all. And, you know, crew was all like, oh, that he does da-da-da-da-da. He's just trying to, you know, baby me, I guess, or whatever. Or warn. First he was trying to warn me. Then it was like, oh, don't go away. Don't get offended, all this kind. I was like, dude, chill. You don't even know me like that. Chill. I'm good. It's no problem. So it didn't deter me. If anything, it made me a little bit more interested, because I was kind of interested in the style. So then I started to pay you some attention. So I've been watching you ever since. So that's why I could say to Ebony, I disagree with what she is saying, because I probably have been watching you a little bit closer than people who have seen you around and just kind of, you know, seen you around and just maybe caught some stuff here and there. Right. But I am also, being an open-minded person, the type of person that if I hear you say strag or ratchet or something like that, first of all, I'm not offended, because I don't feel like you're talking about me, but I'm not dumb enough to think that something you say I might carry a characteristic or two if I look deep enough.
That's the point. We all carry character. You don't think I don't have stereotypical shit about me that can be looked up?
Right.
Look, we all have it, but this is my point of the book. The culture is cultivating. We have become a part of the white supremacist machine to where we're pumping out babies and we're instilling them with the same ideology that will defeat them. That's the entire premise of the book right there. It is about how we create babies and treat and teach our children through example, through our words, through our actions, that they are inferior. And that is what I'm trying to defeat, because the niggas ain't shit narrative is a complete falsehood. It is a complete
Right.
falsehood. Just like, look, everybody knows not every black woman is a ratchet. But since we all come, if you're ADOS, we all come from the same culture. So you have girls who have been in private school their whole life, had everything made and paved in gold for them, and they still act like Portia from fucking Real Housewives. And why is this? And I'm not saying anything down on her. What I'm saying is all these women, a lot of these women are accomplished motherfuckers, doctors and all types of shit. But look how they act. And when you start seeing this similarity, the common denominator is that we're all coming up in the same culture and we're all being taught by the same people, which instills the white supremacy ideology, which I would like to refer to as the black dinocracy, because they do reign supreme. Women reign supreme. So if we want to see a real change, we have to see a change in how we raise our children. We have to see a change in how we teach our children. We have to see a change in what we do on the day-to-day that our children are picking up. That is the whole entire thing of the book.
Right. And how we react and how we receive information.
Right.
You know, instead of just getting mad and coming in here and saying, shaking my head, Grinch is the ratchet. You know, be willing to just sit back for a minute and just listen. You know, try to get a deeper understanding of what's being said, and, you know, just internalize it. Sometimes you just got to listen, ruminate on stuff, and just, instead of firing back and getting offended, you know, all that's not necessary. It's not. And it was actually rude. I mean, we're having a conversation about his book. Why you gonna come in here dropping bombs because you didn't like?
But that's what it is. Like, the thing is, this is to be expected. When you're telling the truth, anybody and everybody, you'll be surprised the people who come out the woodwork to suppress you. You'll be surprised about the people who will tell you you're not shit or try to down you for the shit that you do when you do something positive. So all this is confirmation that I wrote a great book.
Right. Right. Yeah. So, you know, Ebony, you know, we cool, but, you know, I just think, you know, hey, sometimes you got to be a little bit more receptive and open-minded. And if you choose not to, then hey, just keep it moving. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all. Everybody ain't ready all the time.
Yeah, and you know what? This is why I put that extra title on the back that I did after I released it, right? So a lot of people got a lot of copies with this what wasn't on it, but the copies now that are being sold, and it's been quite a few since I've changed it, is the fact that I put on the back of the book, this is a book for thinking black men and our supporters. If you support thinking black men and you support, you know what I'm saying, promoting a positive image for our daughters and our sons of the community, then this book is for you. If you're not about that, then this book isn't for you. You know, and that's just what it is. Because look, anybody can read this book. It's not a very long book. It's 50,000 words. You know, if you want to read the book, you can read this book in a couple hours. You can read it in 2.5 hours. But most people, the whole thing about the book is most people aren't ready for the information that's in this book because it contradicts everything that they've been taught. But we have to understand we're in a white supremacist power structure. Nobody is going to tell you exactly what goes on. You're going to have to do the research like how I did for yourself. And it's up to you if you want to choose to be better or you want to choose to keep on pushing the status quo, which is niggas being killed in the street, which is teenage pregnancy, which is people going through struggles that they don't necessarily have to go through if they had a support system or a community that backed them. But you can't have that when you have people still subscribing to an ideology that tells them that they're inferior because they are labeled black, which is a social construct, not a genetic thing.
Right. And your introduction, which is actually very lengthy, um, is very good. It's very good. And people, you guys can go to Kindle if you have a Kindle, and you can get like an excerpt. You can get, they do samples on Kindle, and you can at least read the introduction, and that in itself will do a masterful job at letting you know, how intellectual the book is. And that's what really convinced me that I was going to read the whole book, because I wasn't sure if I was going to read the whole book, because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen here with this book, and I don't know what kind of, because I didn't know much about red pill and all that stuff. So I'm like, I don't know what's going to be said here. I don't know if I want to sit and read a whole book about, females, da 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 da, and how to do this and how to do that. I
No,
kind of thought
but
maybe
it's
it was
not
going
even
to.
that type of book. Like why I use the terminology red pill? I use it because it is what is. Look, my command of language is, how would I put it? The way I use language is to accurately depict what I'm talking about. So when we talk about
Mm-hmm.
red pill, I'm talking. The reason why I use that terminology is because that is the widely accepted terminology for the lifestyle and the mindset that I'm talking about. You feel me?
Right.
I didn't create red
Mm-hmm.
pill. However, I was living red pill before I even knew what the fuck red pill was. So
Right.
my whole thing is I'm trying to give brothers I'm trying to make brothers aware of the possibilities and the options that are out there. And I'm not judging anybody. If you're a person who pushes, if you're a person who's about pro-blackness, you still think it's alive and well, then you can subscribe to that and read this book and gain knowledge from it. If you're a person
Mm-hmm.
who thinks that you need to separate because it's a sinking ship, then you can read this book and gain knowledge from it. Or if you're a person who's unsure of either or, you can read this book, or a sister, and you can read this book and gain knowledge from it and do what you need to do. Take the knowledge from this book and understand how men are thinking, how men look at certain things, how the sisterhood is, and what we expect if you want to land a decent black man.
Right. And I agree. And that's kind of the point that I was trying to get across, because I don't necessarily subscribe to any singular type of mindset, but
Right.
I
Fuck,
did have
fuck
some
narratives. Fuck,
skepticism.
fuck all the
I was
narratives.
willing, right, but I was willing to at least go and check it out and see what was there, and upon doing that, I found that it's actually a helpful book. It's informational, and it's coming from an intellectual standpoint. And it looks like it's very well researched from as much of it as I have gotten to so far. So that's just to let you guys know that it's worth it. Sometimes you just gotta be a little bit more open-minded and be willing to get out there and do some ground with stuff. So
For
it's
sure.
definitely worth it.
For sure.
And I'm looking forward to finishing it. I'm gonna be talking about it without talking about it. Once I'm done, without giving it away, I'm just gonna let y'all know. Um, hey, did I like it? Like it? You know?
Yeah,
So
trust me. At the end of the book, when you get to the end of the book and you digest all the information, I'm telling you, this is something that's life changing. If you approach it with an open mind, if you approach it not invested in any narratives, because if you're invested in the narrative, it's gonna piss you off. Like that's just what it is.
hmm
But if you come to it like let me take it for what it is, and let me see if there's any real knowledge in it. This book is packed with real knowledge, with factual, historical, empirical knowledge. With facts, and that's what makes this book different from all these other books that are supposed to be for us, by us, right? Is because my book, just like me, I'm not invested in any certain narrative. you know, I just when you see red pill in the book, when you see these things, it's because this is the common terminology for it, and I'm trying to give people a relating point rather than just starting from scratch, so they can better understand the concepts that I'm giving them.
Right. And the way that you explained red pill, it makes sense. It makes even more sense, even for me, you know, to understand why, you know, you incorporated that in the book. And I do agree that it's a little bit different because I've read some of these guidebooks, you know, I'm not gonna name any, but I've read a few of them.
Yeah,
And they do.
this is not a dating book though. This is not. This is if you want to change your life book. This is what this is.
Right, right. And I'm heavy into those kind of books. Heavy. I mean, I have thousands of them, you know. So yeah, this is right up my alley right here because it doesn't come from too much of like a personal. Don't sound like you just crying and you hurt, you know, basically. Um,
Yeah, because I'm
it
good.
sounds
The
like
only way I could write something like this is if I was good. You know what I mean? Like if I've already accepted a lot of the truth that I've already put in the book. That's the only way I could write something like this.
right. Yeah. I definitely recommend you guys checking it out, at least checking out uh, the sample. And what I was telling people too, because you know how people are, man, you know how they are. I don't know what if this applies to everybody. I don't know if it's just depending upon how you rock with Kindle and how much you purchase and stuff like that. But for me, um, you know, they was offering us $7.99 credit, you know, and it doesn't take away from the author. So
Right. Exactly. So yeah,
they,
go ahead and get it. You could get it for $3. If you can go ahead and get it for $3 on Kindle or get it for $13 on the paperback, I'm telling you this, and it works in multiple ways. This is something that you could put in somebody's. You could use this as a stocking stuffer during Christmas season if you just want to get a kick out of the reaction somebody's going to get from this book. Like it works in so many
right.
ways. Like and that's why I think people love it so much. Like I've had people tell me, "Yo, I bought 5 copies just because I want to give it to all the the people I mentor, all the young black boys I mentor." Oh, you know what I mean? I've had
Mhm.
women call me up, crying, like you said this, but it's true. How do I fix it? Like that, like seriously, y'all think I'm tripping, but I'm dead ass, man. For real.
And you know, yeah, and that's why I was saying that too, because you know, sometimes I do that, being that I'm heavy into books, you know, sometimes I do that. If I see one and I'm feeling it, you know, I may start out with Kindle and then it's like once I'm done with it, I'm like, oh no, I got to spread this. And then I just start getting the paper or the hard copy and I start passing it out, you know, a book, a movie, or whatever. But you know, if people are kind of on the fence or you know whatever, you can't beat that right there. You can't beat that to check it out and get that knowledge because you know we don't have any excuses for not doing better. We have too much information out here, and this is the age of information.
Yep, it's the age of
Easily
information.
passed.
Age of information and technology.
Yep, easily passed around so easily. So, you know, it's up to us if we want to go out there and get it and, you know, hop on it because they're not going to hand us nothing. You know, we can talk about it doesn't work. Hmm. Let me see if it's working for me because that's the one I got directly from the web page. Yeah, it's working for me. It's going right to it.
Hold on, let me click on it. See.
Oh no, it says sorry, I can't find that page.
Oh yeah, hold on, I got the link.
I'm glad you told me that. Thank you, because I've been putting it in there the whole time. It's going to Amazon, but it's not going.
Okay, I got the link. I'll post it. I'll post the joint.
Some dog. It's a cute little dog though. Meet the dogs of Amazon. They tripping.
I'm about to post this joint. Post the link.
Yeah,
Hey, if the
when I
audience
put
wants to grab
yeah.
the book, here go the link for it, man. This has been a great interview. Like I want to reach. People. Some people be bougie. They be like, oh, I'm not going because this many people. I need this many people. Nah, the thing is, I know I'm reaching a small audience with this book. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Well, you never know who will see this later on either, and you never know who will buy your book from this, and who will be blessed from hearing what you had to say and from reading your book. And I appreciate you coming on and talking about it because I learned and I wanted to hear you talk about it. I wanted you to break some stuff down for me. You have done so. So I appreciate you coming on for myself. Regardless of, only got 5,000. And you see how small my chat be. So I get less viewers than that, you know, unless I'm talking about Nature Boy. But how
Yeah,
that
of
is,
course. Niggas gonna tune in for that
Miss
drama. Trust me, I know.
Yep. So like I said, I definitely appreciate you coming over and helping me further understand some things because I'm always willing to learn and grow. That I love it.
Yeah,
So Ebony, you still coming back?
Hmm?
She said, I didn't think you was gonna let him block me. I've been typing away. Well, I mean, it was rude what you did and what you said. So, we're gonna leave it there.
Let her get over it. Like, look, if you come in throwing shots, that's what happens to you. Like, look, shut up.
Yeah.
You'll be able to be unblocked and be on this bitch talking your shit again. Shut up. Nigga, don't.
I don't even, yeah, I don't even rock like that. So it is what it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
let these mothers.
So all of you guys do, at the very least, don't be like Ebony. See, Ebony, I'm gonna use you as an example. Be open minded and at least go and read the description of the book. And like I said, you can download a sample for free, and you're gonna get the chapters. It's gonna tell you about all the chapters, and you're gonna get the introduction.
Yeah, for sure.
And that introduction is almost the chapter itself, and it's very deep. And that's what let me know that I was about to read this whole book. Okay. And
Yeah,
if I read 10 of the books that I have in my 7,000 book library, you guys will be like, what? Yeah. So I don't just waste time reading a book for no entertainment or nothing like that, So
yeah,
that's why I was like, I don't know. But yeah, once I read it, I was like, okay, I can trust me. You got to really feed me. You got to feed me. So
yeah,
anything that's going to help, I'm with it.
for sure, for sure. And that's what the book was designed for. To feed the people, at the same time be entertaining. Watch you going some of the jokes in there. Trust me, you gonna hit me up and be like, hell no. Trust me, when when you get into the book, you gonna see what I mean.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it. And I'll be looking for books too to pass around to my family members. And, I got male children, got one in his 20s and one 15. So, hey, I got to try to school them the best way that I can. And I'm not a female, so, I don't necessarily know how to hit them with some stuff. I mean, yes, they have a father, but still, I want to make sure, you know, that they still getting certain information that,
Trust me, when you read this, trust me, it's gonna be something that you pass on to them because you don't want them to end up getting abused by the Strag or the Ratchet or any of the characters that are described in the book. Trust me.
right, exactly. So, Ebony, now we know that you are Fred G. Sanford. Thank you very much. Okay, that's cool. All right. So, again, I don't want to hold you up too much, so I appreciate it. Most definitely. And did you get that link? Oh, you got the link in there?
Well,
Okay, so it was just
I dropped the book. If y'all want to cop the book, it's available on Kindle. It's available on in paperback. It's a cheap, $10 for the Kindle, $20 for the paperback. You know what I'm saying? Trust me, it's an investment. It's just a dub or less. Trust me, it's an investment that will pay you dividends and knowledge and results in your life, man. So I appreciate you, Soul Alchemy, for having me on.
absolutely. Thank you to everybody. Again, thank y'all for liking this video and thank you for sharing it. For sure, make sure you do share it. And also shout out to Kendra and Art. So is this your pen name that you use here?
Yeah, of course, it's my pen name. I don't need these motherfucking ratchets showing up at my doorstep.
Oh no, I understand about pen names and stuff. I know that,
Yeah,
because I got all kind of stuff out here that people don't know about, and it's under a pen name and stuff.
Yeah, Paxton.
Because I followed it. I was gonna ask you, are you coming out with another book?
I'm thinking about it. It just depends. Like the thing is, if I want to stay in the black sector and do things that are specific to this, then it would have to be about, I would have to get compensated for it. But I would definitely be down for another one. I would just choose a different topic. Like I've already covered the ratchet. I would choose a different topic.
Right. That's what I was asking, if it was your pen name, like if you're going to be writing under that name, because I follow authors and then whatever they come out with, then Kindle will notify me.
Yeah, anything.
Regardless of what.
Anything about the community will be under this pen name.
Okay, so you'll use a different pen name. Okay.
Yeah, if I use a different pen name for it, like I'm going to be on a different subject. But anything about the community, it's going to be Paxton Leonard every time.
Okay, gotcha. I understand that. Something else I was going to ask you here. Okay, yeah. So also, guys, be sure to go and write a review when you read the book. Reviews are very important. I see you got 13. That's really good. But yeah, make sure, usually Kindle like nudges you to go and write a review. But if you get a paperback or something like that, just make sure you go and write a review. Those reviews mean everything. They really help. They're priceless. So definitely write a review. And share the book. Share the video.
Share the book. Like, you guys can come if you like what you hear on this. You want to hear my thoughts on other things, like, share, and subscribe. Check out my channel, TheGrinchGodP. We are, we're gonna keep the movement moving. We're gonna do what it do. I appreciate everybody who supported the book.
Yeah, definitely. I was talking to them about your channel last night. Pretty much everybody who came in was with us last night. And I was telling them to subscribe to you. And I was telling them about, like, yeah, you started out kind of going in a little bit, but it was kind of funny jokes. It wasn't really like you was trying to start no beef or nothing like that. And then you started telling, doing like story time and then holding panels and stuff. So it's deep over there.
Hey, yeah, trust me. There's a method to my madness. Even the troll, even the Grinch. When I was using the Grinch avatar, it's a method to my madness. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to get black people to process things that were factual in a way that they weren't receptive to. Because look, I went to the military, and in boot camp they did the same thing. So that was the whole point. The point was to get my people out of their feelings. And to get them to unlock their minds to be able to digest information, even regardless if they didn't like it or regardless if they didn't like the format it was presented in. That was the whole purpose of the Grinch character. So everything I do, there's a method to the madness. Trust me. You log into my channel, you go see my Patreon page. Trust me, it's something that you want to fuck with. If you're about progress, that is.
Cool. Right, cool. Okay. I'm gonna have to check that Patreon out too. And I get my bread up, man. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out. Peace.
Peace.